the Alumni Association of the National Institute Lagos Chapter on Sunday, February 4th, 2024, hosted its annual general meeting, induction of new members, and election of a new executive team. It brought together elders of the alumni, past executives, distinguished members, and the Senior Executive Course 45-2023 set to be inducted into the chapter. At the AGM, the chairman of the AANI Lagos Chapter, Mrs. Omolara Balogun, MNI, highlighted the strides of her exco and shared some of the initiatives that should be sustained.
As I reflect on a uniquely challenging last 2 years for the Lagos Chapter Exco, it is truly remarkable how much we have accomplished. We have operationalized and built upon the good deeds of our immediate past Exco under the able leadership of Barrister Rotimi Edu, MNI, sought to meet the needs of members, evolved existing capabilities, and invested in technology and human relations to foster a more cohesive membership. Our strategies continue to pay off. This was, however, not without its challenges and limitations, which hopefully the incoming Exco would not be saddled with. And we must acknowledge that there are improvement areas the incoming Exco will have to work on in order to ensure we have a process in place that recognizes the unique challenges of a volunteer association as ours. More importantly, it is to the credit of members of the Lagos Chapter and the great support they provided that drove your ESCO's delivery on our minimum and exceptional expectations, some of which I wish to highlight below. 1, we ensured we held quarterly general meetings, including virtual meetings, to present plans, seek consensus, and offer all members the opportunity to interact. We equally held a well-attended AGM. Thank you. Exco members tasked themselves to raise funds to finance the development of an all-purpose AANI Lagos Chapter website, which was completed in 2022. Permit me to mention that www.anilagos.com could not be operationalized because we were unable to clean up and affirm the accuracy and credibility of data related to members. The unresolved matters relate to correct personal details, photograph indexing, financial history, digital handles for ease of contact, and others needed to deliver a platform for subscriptions management, members' events, elections, and voting, as well as networking within AANI nationwide. The Exco will present this as a priority project for the incoming team to build upon and execute before the end of 2024.
The outgoing treasurer of AANI Lagos Chapter, Dr. Uche Oluwu, MNI, presented the financials for the period of January 2022 to February 2024.
I'm here to present the financial performance report for 2022 to date as a 3rd of February, actually, because as a 3rd, we're still receiving subscriptions and all the rest. So I go to the executive summary. The financial overview of the Alumni Association of the National Institute for the period January 2022 to February 3rd, 2024 reveals a total income of 12,349,614.74. The opening balance for this period was 6,780,150.96. Total expenditure for the same period amounted to 12,913,618.96 kobo. resulting in net deficit of 564,004 naira 22 kobo, leaving a closing balance of 6,216,146.74.
It also featured remarks from elders of the alumni and former EXCO members, Prince Julius Adelusi Adeluyi, OFR MNI, and Major General Ike Nwachukwu, RTD, CFR MNI, and Engineer Jani Ibrahim, representative of the AANI. National President Ambassador Emmanuel Obi Okafor.
No matter how strong Lagos is, the other chapters can weaken the overall impact. No matter how strong Lagos chapter is, we would not be able to achieve if we do not have some contact, some influence, some partnership, and some coordination and with the national.
45 years ago, this great institute was set up. 45 years hence, have we really achieved a better society? Your answer is as good as mine. In our time, there were no banditry, there were no kidnapping, there were no failed states and so on. Today, our country is going through tremendous turmoils. And we now have set 45. Now, can we truly say to ourselves that we'll put to use the tenets that were taught in Kuru? Our association should not be just for having eats and meetings. It is to make the required impact in the leadership and the followership in our country.
Yeah, so in essence, I want to use, the president said I should use this opportunity to also acknowledge and welcome the senior executive course number 45 members who are joining Lagos. You are most welcome, a big number, 23, which is, I hope you will contribute, your quota to this very important chapter. Course number 46, I think will soon take off, and I think they are likely to have up to about 100 members on that course. Yeah, likely to have up to about 100 members on that course. But one of the things that I was challenged with when I came in is about the structures of the Alumni Association. There were structures that were put in place as far back. Maybe this is the time for us to get national to revive them. We had the Board of Patrons, which is still headed by General Babangida, but he has designated General Abdusalami, to provide leadership, on that committee. We had the Heritage Council, which is also headed by the Sultan of Sokoto. He is very anxious and active, to see that revived, And then we also had so many committees, the body of past presidents, body of past secretary generals, all sorts of, committees were set up, including defense and security, foreign affairs. So there's always a committee where you can put in your knowledge, your expertise, and also your guidance, because the whole essence of the Alumni Association, is towards a better Nigerian society. Let's start from home first.
Highlight of the event was the induction of the 23 new members from SEC 45 2023 into the AANI Lagos Chapter. Mrs. Omolara Balogun, Engineer Segun Ajayi-Kadir, and Mr. Olufemi Awoyemi returned unopposed as Chairman, Vice Chairman, and General Secretary respectively for the Executive Council of the AANI Lagos Chapter for the next 2 years. Distinguished members speak on the way forward for AANI Lagos Chapter.
There's a need for a new direction. We should be able to intervene in any public discourse. It's not, we have some of the best brains in AANI and of course in National Institute. There's nothing that we are talking about now that has not been written by participants of AANI. We made it necessary for each participant to leave a project. So we are not inventing the wheel. The wheel they go to the Library of National Institute. We've written on virtually everything. So I think there is a need for AANI to be more vocal, to be involved in national discourse, and of course to be available to give advice or ideas, contribute ideas to the national events.
First, let me say that it's quite a privilege to be a member of National Institute. It's also a greater privilege to be a member in the Lagos alumni, considering that Lagos is the center of excellence. This is the environment where most policies that drive national economy is derived from. Being a custom officer and being in the second largest seaport in Nigeria, I know that decisions taken in AANI go a long way to shape national discourse. And men that you can have as members of National Institute, women that you have as members of National Institute are women of integrity, tried and tested. For the new ESCO, you can see that our chairperson, Mrs. Balogun, is somebody that we've always looked up to provide leadership, and she's done it. That's why she's returned this time around again.
For the newly inducted members of AANI Lagos Chapter, it is an experience that will broaden their scope and contribution to national development.
Well, I feel so good today that I'm one of the few Nigerians that have graduated from the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. What is all about? It is all about making a better society, how we can contribute our quota to the development of this nation to ensure that we have a better society. Those members are great members, our senior members, because I'm Sec 45 and, being inducted as a new member of the association.
Attending the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies for the Senior Executive Course 45 was one of the best experiences I've had in recent time. Our motto at NIPS is towards a better society. So having completed the course and becoming member of National Institute, the honor now lies on us to make sure that we use every opportunity in every sector we find ourselves to make sure that we advocate a better society in Nigeria. There are a lot of things happening in Nigeria right now, a lot of turbulence, a lot of bad experiences. We should be able to speak out, to advocate for good governance. We should be able to rise up to canvass for the right things to be done. We didn't just go there to attend the course and leave the program and keep silent. So that is the reason why AANI Lagos Chapter today, having been inaugurated as members, we have been told to go out there to be good ambassadors of the Institute by advocating for the betterment of a good Nigeria.
Former and current EXCO members, including the re-elected chairman, believe there are enormous opportunities to deepen advocacy on policies in the country alongside impactful initiatives.
I fully support what Prince Julius Adelu you mentioned today, because historically, AANI Lagos Chapter has always been the shining light of the association. One, not only because Lagos is the commercial capital of Nigeria, but also because the quality of the people who come from Lagos Chapter are top-notch, ladies and gentlemen, who have achieved so much in their respective professions. And we know that if Nigeria is going to work, Lagos has to work. And for those of us who are graduates of NIPS school, we have a huge responsibility to help to rebuild this country. The government invested so much in us in terms of policy and strategy across all spectrum. So what do we need to do is we need to actually use all that knowledge and skills to actually provide solutions to the multiple challenges we face as a country, whether it's insecurity, healthcare, and the economy. AANI alumni, we have the quality of people who can really solve the problems of the country. So, well, how do we get in there? Our voice must be heard. We must, all the research we did while in NIP school, we need to bring all that to the attention of key stakeholders in government at all levels to ensure that, one, let's fix Nigeria.
We've been very upbeat about this. So basically, we are doing something about it because this country needs to move forward.
Remember that NIPS, because we can't talk of AANI without NIPS. NIPS, that is the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, is the foremost think tank for Nigerian economy. And that is why you have quite a lot of people being sponsored to NIPS year in, year out. As we speak, we have the 45th set, which means NIPS has been in existence for 45 years. And just like you have said, towards a better society. That is what, NIPS is all about. AANI is the Alumni Association of the National Institute. And here we are at the, Lagos chapter. So what's the driving force is for us to be able to drive policies that will assist government in ensuring that indeed, we have a better society in Nigeria.
The second time around, it will be, of course, an improved performance of the ESCO. I am grateful to God for being brought back for the second term as the chairman of the Lagos State Chapter, AANI Lagos State Chapter. It was a challenging 2 years, but we performed to the best of our ability, and looking forward, it's going to be a more impactful outing for the chapter. We will improve on modalities of moving the chapter forward. We're working with committees towards bringing out the best in our members, and it's as usual, it's an inclusive administration, and we're working on getting all members fully committed to working for the association.
Established 45 years ago, the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, KURU-JUS, remains Nigeria's foremost think tank group. It must reposition itself as a leading advocacy group, charting the pathway through policies that can transform the country, with the AANI Lagos chapter at the forefront.